Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. A couple of short economics notes. There have been dire predictions that the entire world was going to collapse with absolute mechanical precision on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of October. It's now the 9th of October. We got 2 weekend days and the Columbus Day holiday when a lot of things are closed. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. As St. Augustine once said, it is ridiculum, right? Ridiculous to try to predict the date of the end of the world. We are obviously on a extremely unstable geometry, and future panics could come at any time. I'd rather think they're going to come in the form of dumping the dollar and then dollar hyperinflation. If we can't convince the U.S., number one, and indeed other people around the world, that what is required is a negotiated solution to this in the interest of the working people of the world, not the Hong Kong derivatives mongers or the various experts in flight capital from a lot of these Gulf countries. And certainly we don't want the economic ideas of Saudi Arabia dominating the United States. Rather, the American system, which is good for the world, it promotes everybody's interest. But now, Obama, also union busting, just to keep track of that. The Obama-Duncan plan for the American school systems has been described as Bush 3 by Randy Weingarten of the American Federation of Teachers. So after busting the UAW and is now Obama and company with Duncan at the Department of Education, now attacking the teachers union. But now let's get to the Nobel Prize for the anointed one. This morning, October 9th, the Norwegian Nobel Committee gave the prize to Obama, and as Phil Berg pointed out, Obama had been in office for about 10 days when the deadline for the nominations was passed. So he had to be nominated by somebody. We don't know who. Maybe by Axelrod, maybe by Valerie Jarrett. In the first 10 days, in other words, between the 20th of January, when he was inaugurated, and the 1st of February, so 11 days, he had to be nominated for this. Now, of course, it's a mockery. He has done nothing. Look at Saturday Night Live. He did nothing in terms of his peace promises, certainly nothing. Rather, as we'll get to in a minute, he's more in the warmonger department. How can we treat this Nobel Prize? Well, this is the titled European aristocracy. Norway is a monarchy and a British puppet state. Denmark, a monarchy, British puppet state. Sweden, a monarchy and somewhat less British puppet state, but substantial influence nonetheless, because oligarchs, titled aristocrats, feudal nobility, monarchies, they generally look at the British monarchy as their flagship. We could call this the Riddarhuset Prize, Riddarhuset being this organization of titled feudal aristocrats in Stockholm. I'm sure that's got branches in Norway. But this is now for Obama. It is a grotesque action of oligarchism and elitism, and it points up our theme for this week. The main distinction in the world is no longer left-right. Forget about left-right-center. It means nothing. It's a fight now between oligarchs and elitists on the one hand and populists on the other. But watch out. There are two kinds of populism. One is the demagogic kind, the cultural populist kind, the kind of stuff that appeals to Dick Armey, Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, and so forth. It leads to the most ugly totalitarian consequences. It essentially says, well, we're not going to look at economic policy. We're just going to make fun of the snooty elitism of the oligarchs. The kind of populism we recommend on this program is economic populism, strong defense of working people, economic program. How do you get out of a depression? How do you maintain standards of living? How do you get full employment? Let's look at those questions, not whether the excesses of Obama can simply be mocked and you get out of a depression that way. Won't work. Obviously, get rid of Obama, but you got to do that with an economic program. This could be called the Nobel Peace Prize. This is what the right-wingers say. It's funny. Nobel Peace Prize, the Speech Prize, the Rookie of the Year Award, and so forth. Of course, will he take it? Sartre won the Nobel Prize for Literature, didn't go. Obama has just accepted with a Rose Garden speech. Well, remember, Obama's a warmonger and a warmonger and a warmonger. Is he going to get the prize for escalation, the Nobel Prize for warmongering? Because that's what he's doing. as we'll describe in the next segment, he's now in the process of deciding whether McChrystal gets 40,000 more troops, bringing him up to 110,000 in Afghanistan, or whether he will get something less. But Obama is determined to kill Pakistanis unilaterally on their own territory, to flatten Afghanistan. And, of course, the goal of that is to smash the government of Pakistan, to divide it 5 ways so there won't be a pipeline from Iran into China, which would be the obvious solution to the most urgent problem of the Chinese. Now, let's think about some people who've gotten this prize in the past, right? Everybody points to Al Gore, of course, the Malthusian monster, to Carter. That was mainly done to stick it to Bush. How about Theodore Roosevelt, who came in to help the British and the Japanese against Russia in the 1905 Russo-Japanese War? That was a precondition. This was a piece of diplomacy by Edward the Seventh of Britain to turn the Russians out of the Orient and back into Europe, where they would collide with Germany. So Theodore Roosevelt was part of this Portsmouth, Maine, peace agreement in the Russo-Japanese War, which was basically British diplomacy seeking to play Russia against Germany. It's a bit complicated. This has been written up by me. You can find it various places on the Internet. In the case of some other recipients, though, Robert Cecil, one of the architects of British appeasement, got it in 1937. In the 20s, this prize went to Frank Kellogg, U.S. Secretary of State, Aristide Briand, in 1926. The Kellogg-Briand Pact, which was supposedly to outlaw war, sounded great. It was the prelude to the coming of Hitler and then World War II. Stresemann, the German who said, I will pay the reparations, I will pay the debt, destroyed German institutions to the point where Hitler became quite feasible. Some others, Sirin Ebadi, working for the U.S. and the British in Iran, Arafat and Mandela, well, those are reasonable. I have no objections to those. How about Rigoberta Menchú, New Dark Ages, ethnic indigenous peoples organizer from Central America? Elie Wiesel, who made a mint on the Holocaust industry and he had so much money and lost it all with Madoff. Amnesty International, a group of British destabilizers. But the one that appeals to me most, Mikhail Gorbachev, and nobody else has pointed to this that I've heard, so this is original. You're hearing it here for the first time. Gorbachev, in October 1990, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, which he received in December 1990. By August of 1991, there was the coup d'etat of the famous Committee of the Nine, the GKCHP, that is the State Committee on the Emergency. Khrushchev, Pavlov, Yanayev, Baklanov, Boldin, Yazov, Arenyakov, Tizyakov. In other words, the coup in Moscow, August 1991. So it's less than a year. It's about 9 months from the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to Gorbachev to an actual coup d'etat in Moscow. This reminds us that Gorbachev was the darling of the international elites, but was hated by Russian working people. Same story with Obama. Darling of the international elites and oligarchs, hated by an increasing number of working people, blue-collar types, white, black, Hispanic, here in the United States. Woodrow Wilson got it in 1919 for his work at Versailles. That meant the approval of reparations, the League of Nations, and this other things that guaranteed the coming of World War II. So, bad news, a mockery. The Nobel oligarchs once again discredited